Ahead of the midterm elections, Democrats will have to decide how to plan to convince the American people to keep them in power. Coming out of the conversation about the attack on the Capitol, one approach is to campaign on the fear of Republicans taking back control. They can also campaign on the hope of more democratic governance, which has been thwarted by a united Republican opposition and Joe Manchin. They expanded child tax credits, perhaps the biggest accomplishment of the Biden administration, that lifted millions out of poverty, expired in December and remains stuck in limbo. The Hill is reporting that top Democrats in the White House are turning their attention to reviving Build Back Better, gearing up for a second attempt to pass the president's spending plan. This approach of campaigning by doing is something that must be done. Senator Warren warns in her latest op-ed, quote, "To put it bluntly, if we fail to use the months remaining before the elections to deliver on more of the agenda, Democrats are headed towards big losses in the midterms." Joining us now to discuss what the Democratic priorities should be ahead of the midterm elections is Kurt Bardella. He is an advisor to the GCCC. So, Kurt, what's on the list, right? When you have the blank whiteboard and you're trying to figure out what are the top priorities for Democrats headed into the midterm elections, what makes the whiteboard?
Well, Zelina, I think that this is one of those situations where you got to be able to do what you can when you can. And I think that Democrats need to start using the majority that they have in Congress while they have it to start racking up wins on the scoreboard. It doesn't matter if it's the biggest thing in the world. It doesn't matter if it's every single priority that you said you would try to get done. You just got to start getting wins. Victory creates momentum. Wins create that momentum you need to offset this narrative that Democrats are doomed, all hope is lost, we're going to lose the majority, all that. Listen, success breeds success. So what they need to do is get together in a room, get with Manchin, get with Sinema, the typical holdouts as we've seen throughout the last year here, and just tell them, what would you support? What would you vote yes for? What is the dollar figure that you would say yes to? And let's pass that and get it done and pass as much as we can to start creating this momentum going into November. You cannot beat something with nothing. Republicans are going to spend the rest of this year shellacking Democrats left and right over everything under the sun, invented culture wars, this crazy stuff that we're seeing from Fox News and Tucker Carlson. We have got to start doing things that the American people can wrap their arms around and go, oh, that's what a Democrat vote means in November, and contrast that with really the platform of taxes and treason that Republicans are embracing.
In terms of policies, how do you turn that into the message for Democrats, right? If you're racking up wins because you're doing stuff that's helping people in their everyday lives, how do you go back and tell them we did this? I mean, Republicans, even if they don't vote for a thing, will take credit. But how do Democrats properly communicate that they were the ones that produced these policies and results for the American people?
Well, and I think it all comes down to contrast, really. And that's why actually having votes and passing things, not just one thing, just, heck, I would be happy, frankly, if they passed 24 small things in a row every week so that we could have that narrative. And then that creates a voting record that you can say, hey, we supported this. Your person running to try to take us out. They didn't. They opposed it. They voted no. Their answer to everything is always no. No on making prescription drugs more affordable. No on making small businesses having better tax advantages. No on raising wages. No on things that affect America, whether it's your health care, whether it's your job, whether it's your mortgage, whether it's your student loan debt. There are so many things that we can find common ground on to just pass and get done. It may not be everything that we've always wanted. It may not be the ideal version of what it was. But listen, the reality is, if we don't do it now, Republicans are going to not just not do it, they're going to undo everything that we've tried to do so far with our majority. We have to make that contrast and make people own the fact that if you vote for a Republican, this is going to happen to you. If you vote for a Democrat, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing, and then let the voters make that choice.
You mentioned that Republicans undo. So that seems like the opposite of doing. I mean, we're talking about a Democratic agenda because the Democrats are the only ones who are willing to do anything. They're the only ones governing in this particular moment. How do you make that the message? Republicans are elected, but what are they actually really doing? It's like showing up to your job and just standing still and refusing to do anything.
Well, and even worse than that to me, Zerlina, it's not just that Republicans want to do nothing. It's actually that what they want to do is only to the benefit of a very small group of people, and that's the billionaires and millionaires in this country. We saw during the Trump years when the going got tough, they cut taxes for billionaires. They made it easier for the wealthy 1% to have every advantage in our society, and the rest of us are footing the bill for that. The rest of us have to shoulder the burden for that. And I think that's the story really that Democrats need to start telling about Republicans, about the Republican agenda. It's not going to benefit the working class. It's not going to benefit the middle class. The Republicans have put out on paper tangible plans that would roll back Social Security, that would cut into Medicare, that would raise taxes on everybody but the rich. That's a story we need to tell.
Kurt Bardella, thank you so much for being here, and please stay safe. Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.